Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to pick who I think is going to win the BMF title at UFC 300 between Justin the Highlight Gaethje and Max Blessed Holloway. Now, if you're new to my channel, maybe you don't know this, but if you've been following my channel, I was one of the first people in the MMA community, I keep gloating about this, before this whole narrative shift around the Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje fight, right? At first it was Max is going to get destroyed. Gaethje's going to do him like he did to Ferguson. And I was always that guy over there saying, man, everyone's overlooking the Blessed train. I believe Max Blessed Holloway is not only going to beat Justin Gaethje to claim the BMF title, I think he finishes Justin Gaethje before the fight ends, right? So maybe fourth round, something like that. And I know that that's going to sound incredibly crazy, and I'm going to break down why I think that happens and how I think it happens, because obviously I have to explain myself, right? I mean, Justin Gaethje, I want to say, guys, this is not an easy pick. I don't like this fight. The reason I don't like the fight is, first of all, I think both of these guys should have been fighting for titles. I think Justin Gaethje should have been taking on Islam Makhachev. I believe that Max Holloway should be taking on Ilia Topuria in Spain or something along those lines. But the bottom line is this is the fight we get. It's two guys that are in my top 10 at least for all-time favorite fighters. I have been watching Max Holloway since this man entered the UFC. He's one of the guys that got me into the sport. That's not why I'm picking Max Holloway. If you go back and watch a lot of Justin Gaethje's fights, right? I know that Justin Gaethje in his past two fights against Dustin Poirier and Rafael Fiziev, we've seen this new evolution of Justin Gaethje where he is incredibly patient. He is incredibly dangerous at all times. We know that. But Justin Gaethje is a guy that gets hit. If you watch the fight back against Dustin Poirier before he lands the head kick knockout, we see Dustin Poirier starting to close him down and land a good left hand that cut Gaethje open. We saw that happen the first time around when Poirier and Gaethje fought. And if you watch that fight back, the first time Poirier and Gaethje fought each other, that is maybe that's probably the best comparison we might be able to draw into how this fight's going to play out. And I say, whoa, wait a minute, Jake. Max Holloway went up to 155, and we saw what happened against Dustin Poirier. There were a lot of different circumstances regarding that fight in terms of Max Holloway taking it on a shorter notice. He had never been to 155. He had never really done the proper things to prepare himself up to a move to 155 like he has done this time around. That's not exactly why I'm picking Max, just because he's Maximus Holloway now and he's been bulking up and preparing for this move. That's part of it. But I think the evolution that Max Holloway has made, the improvements that he has made over his past few fights are the reason I'm picking him to win this fight. We've never seen Justin Gaethje fight somebody that has a high output. We've seen him up against dangerous guys, right? We've seen him in there with Poirier twice. We've seen him in there against Oliveira, Khabib. We've seen the list goes on and on. The thing with Gaethje is if you don't present a grappling threat, you're in a ton of danger at all times. We saw that against Michael Chandler. Like we have seen when Gaethje fought Oliveira and Khabib in these title fights, he's very frantic. He's very afraid of being taken down. So he kind of doesn't fight like the Gaethje we know. When there's no takedown threat and his feet are under him and he's moving and he's comfortable and his head movement's on point, Justin Gaethje is one of the most ferocious guys in the division. And I will point out, his step-through combinations that he was landing on Dustin Poirier, where he throws that right hand, steps, almost switching stances, and throws that hook right around the guard, is a shot that very much concerns me because we saw Dustin Poirier in his boxing in his switch stances that he likes to throw coming forward with those boxing combinations. We saw him hurt Max Holloway bad when Holloway moved up to 155 the first time. So that's going to be something to watch. But I believe Max Holloway, the adjustments that he has made, his stance switch to where he's more in a tie-based stance, to where he's a lot lighter on that lead leg to get it out of the way of those leg kicks of Gaethje, because Max has never been in there with someone that's going to kick as hard as Justin Gaethje. Now everyone's saying Max has never been in there with hard hitters. He's never been in there with a guy that's going to hit like Gaethje. That might be true because everyone says that, when you ask Oliveira, when you ask Khabib, who's the hardest hitter you fought? They all say Justin Gaethje. But we have to point out that I believe Dustin Poirier is a better technical boxer than Justin Gaethje. I don't think Justin Gaethje is a better boxer per se than Max Blessed Holloway. With that being said, Max Holloway does take a lot of shots. He does take some damage. And in this fight, he's not going to be able to do that. Obviously, he's going to have to eat a shot or two, because nobody just gets to sign up to fight Justin Gaethje without taking a shot or two. So the big question is going to be, what happens when Justin Gaethje lands on Max Holloway? What does that do? Because we've seen the past 2 fights, Max Holloway's his evolution in his style needs to be noticed. It needs to receive more praise because while everyone wants to praise Justin Gaethje and the adjustments him and Trevor Whitman have made to make him more technical and calculated, Max Holloway and his team have done the same thing. I believe Justin Gaethje's not been in there with somebody that's going to be able to push the pace, is going to be able to put this kind of volume on him. Now, you can sit there and say, well, that's not going to win him the fight, which you're kind of right? Because Justin Gaethje, he has more power and he can basically end the fight at any time. He can inflict more damage. It's the way Max Holloway is going to approach this fight that I think a lot of people are getting wrong. He's not coming in there like the Ricardo Lamas fight to point down at the ground and slug it out and stand in the center and trade. It's not what Max is going to do. I think he's going to fight Justin Gaethje like he did against Arnold Allen. I think we're going to see him switching stances. I think he's going to give Justin Gaethje a lot of different looks to try to slow down the leg kicks that Gaethje's going to try to throw. I think we see Max kind of fight out of that southpaw stance a little bit, because whenever he switches stances and gets that lead hand, that right hand out in front, it's now a power jab. We saw him have a lot of success against Arnold Allen in that matchup. I understand Arnold Allen is a southpaw, but he's a guy that has good boxing, good striking, and very good speed, and he has a lot of power at 145. He does not hit as hard as Justin Gaethje. I understand that. But I think that Max Holloway is going to be able to, he's going to have to decide at times in this matchup to sit on some things. We saw him do that against the Korean Zombie, which is something Max is starting to do more towards the tail end of his career here. He's always been a guy that just kind of floats around and he doesn't really put everything into his shots. But we've seen if Max Holloway does that and he decides to bite and sit down on a shot and commit, he can do exactly what he did to the Korean Zombie. And I know people are going to say, well, Zombie's older and all these different things. He was also a guy that was going out there with everything to, with everything to gain and everything to lose in a way, because Zombie knew if he lost that fight, he was going to retire. And he was going out there swinging, man. Zombie was going down swinging. He was chasing after him, throwing some violent shots. And we saw Max Holloway sit down and absolutely knock him the hell out. So, with all that being said, the adjustments that Holloway has made, the leg kicks, the body kicks, even the surprise head kick that Max Holloway may throw in there, I believe that he is going to be able to, as the fight plays out, I think he's going to be able to kind of pepper Justin Gaethje. I think he's going to be switching stances, giving Justin a lot of different looks. I think he's going to invest in the body early. I think he's going to be very cautious. I think he's going to rely heavily on elusive movement in this matchup. His team did not just take this fight saying, you know what, Max, we could maybe get a title fight, but we'll fight the most dangerous guy at 155 for the BMF title, and we're just going to go in there, tuck our chin, stand in the center, and trade. That's not exactly at all what they're doing. If they do, that'll be the worst game plan I've ever seen, because Max Holloway's coming into this, in my opinion, to float around on the outside, sting like a bee, move. He's going to be faster than Justin Gaethje. I think that, he's going to have to eat a shot or two. And obviously, those can be fight enders when you're fighting Justin Gaethje. But I don't want to have to pick anybody in this fight. I like both guys. But I really have believed this entire time that Max Bless Holloway just possesses a few things that Justin Gaethje has not seen per se that are going to be a little bit different. We saw when Dustin Poirier fought Gaethje the first time. I know Gaethje's made improvements, but when you back him up and make him uncomfortable, or he's moving forward on you, he tends to rely on that high guard and resort back to some of those old habits when you start to tag him with a few shots. And I think Max is going to pepper him with a few shots. He's going to bite down. He's going to try to cover up behind that high guard, and he's going to try to rip some of these nasty shots, and Holloway's going to be able to slide out of the way, catch him with some things, and kind of sting him a little bit to where they start to add up. I think that Gaethje is going to underestimate the power of Max Holloway, and I think Max Holloway is going to be able to put some combinations together to where he's able to sting Gaethje with a good shot, because Gaethje, you got to remember, he's taken some shots too, and we saw in that first Poirier fight, and even in that second fight with Poirier and Gaethje, Dustin did a great job of backing him up and just letting combinations go where Gaethje just kind of shells up behind that guard and then looks to wing either a left hook or a right uppercut or an overhand right. I think Max Holloway will be prepared for that. He does a great job sliding back, getting that right hand up by the side of his face to protect himself. I think Max Holloway mixes up the looks. I think he floats around on the outside. And I honestly think that he's able to get a TKO stoppage over Justin Gaethje. He's not going to knock Justin Gaethje out cold. I just think that he'll be able to pepper him, and Gaethje will be kind of covering up, swinging this and that, and then he'll be just, covering up, and then the ref will step in and have to stop the fight. But guys, I know this sounds crazy, and I'm liable to be dead wrong. But from what I've seen from Max Holloway, the adjustments that he has made, I understand Justin Gaethje has made some crazy adjustments. He has looked unstoppable recently. But if you put out some volume against Justin Gaethje and you can do it safely and you can float around and give him a lot of different looks and you can sit on a shot from time to time, if there's a guy that could implement a game plan like that, I believe it's Max Holloway. I believe he's going to be able to sit down on a little bit more shots. I think he's going to surprise Justin Gaethje with how hard he is going to be hitting in this matchup. And that's just how I see this fight playing out. But I want to hear from you all down in the comments. Like this video. Drop your prediction below. Who do you have? Justin Gaethje or Max plus Holloway? Like I said, I don't want to see either guy lose. I like both guys a lot. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the both of them. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I appreciate you all. See you next time.